Yeah, the song is, and I said this the first time, in no way is it bad whatsoever. It is a good song. I was just shocked that this was, like, the single for it. Not because obviously it makes sense because you have SZA, it's the biggest artist in the world and another biggest artist in the world, but I don't know, it didn't do it for me still that much. I saw this take on Twitter, which made sense. So this is Drake's tying Michael Jackson for the most number 1 singles of all time. And someone's like, "Let's be honest. This song is not comparing to a Michael Jackson song." Like, Drake does get the benefit off of his name. Like, every single he drops, it will probably be a number 1 song. So there's some that are on his number 1 discography where you're like, "That wasn't even that good of a song." It's just it's that Drizzy Drake. They're gonna spin it.
Do you remember the line on, what was the song with Meek Mill off,
Going bad.
Championship? Going Bad, and he has the line, "I got more slaps than the Beatles," right? Even though you
Yeah,
do have more slaps than the Beatles, Drake, are you really better than the Beatles? But Drake, you are amazing. Maybe it depends on who you ask, but to me, no, Drake is
yeah.
not better than the Beatles, even though he has more slaps. This generation talks about stats all the time, stats this, stats that, but let's actually talk about the
The
quality of
song.
the songs. I'm
It's
kinda
a good
pissed
song.
because I had a list of all the songs that went number 1 for Drake. Sadly, I can't find it, but it's a huge jump. Drake
I'm
is at
seeing I can
number
find it
1
for
with
you.
13 Billboard number 1s. After that is Eminem with 5, Cardi B 5, Ludacris 5, and then Kanye and Travis 4, and then so on and so forth. But
I'm
really, it's
surprised
just Drake
Kanye
leading.
I'm surprised Kanye doesn't have more, but
You
maybe
think
I
so?
mean, the 2000s was hard, I guess.
Mhm.
That was a different sales time, but that man
Yeah,
sold like a million copies or some shit.
he did, but let me tell
And Lil
you.
Wayne.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
but
Lil
Drake,
Wayne
he had a lot of, hit songs. Like, if you look at the list, you'll be like, "Oh, okay, these songs were actually good." Like, Started from the Bottom, things like that. Back when Drake was like popping, growing up, and really going into the industry, he had hits on hits on hits. Like,
Yeah,
every feature needed Drake, so it makes sense. But let me ask you
yeah.
this: do you think Drake can drop an album specifically for the Dogs? Can this album be better than his first three, or post Thank Me Now, Thank Me Later?
I will not doubt him that he can.
Mhm,
He can. If he wants to and he's
mhm,
focused, he can.
mhm,
That being said, I don't think he will
mhm.
because few things, and I talked about this last time, his subject matter does not change. Not saying I need a whole album about Drake talking about being a dad. I don't need that. But it's kinda the same subject matter he's been talking about for, like, 8 albums now, which, I listen to a Drake album because I wanna hear the songs I'll add to my playlist, not necessarily listening to the whole project like, "Wow, this was a very concise album." And I saw an interview with him where he said Nothing Was the Same was his favorite album because
Mhm.
he said 15 tracks were the perfect amount, he felt it was his most concise album. So he's conscious of the fact that he has done it before, and he could again. And he mentions it's for the streams, but dude, you have so much money. Why do you gotta make music for the streams?
Yeah,
I don't get that. I don't get that.
I don't get it either. Hopefully, he can
But
come up with something hard. That's why I'm crossing
yeah,
my fingers.
it's a Drake album. There's gonna be hits on it. I'm gonna love
Mhm.
it. Even Her Loss. It's not a, like, concise album, but there's some bangers that like it's a really good album. And 21 Savage did his thing. CLB gets a lot of hate for the cover and some of the songs, Too Sexy, which was a number 1 single. That not a good song, but there are some really amazing songs in that project. It just doesn't sound like a concise album, which is why everyone says the 3 same albums are a classic. They say, "Take Care," "Nothing Was the Same," "If You're Reading This, It's Too Late."
Mhm.
So and those all 3 things have the same thing in common. They're concise albums, no filler, have a vibe to it, so just do it again.
So, if Drake continues on this path of not being able to reach those 3 albums, do you think that'll affect where he ranks all time wise?
Nah, he's so good. He's just he's really good at rapping, it gets
Mhm.
overshadowed by how good he is at rapping. Like, Say
He
What's
is a great
Real,
rapper. Mhm.
I was listening to the other day, just he's just a really fucking good rapper, and I don't he's the hit. He's like the GOAT. If someone said Drake is the GOAT, I wouldn't debate it. Like, yeah.
This is the thing. Don't you think that Drake gets a pass, right? If a rapper at a top caliber drops an album that's so-so or alright, or, there's some hits on there, automatically that would diminish them from being in the top 10, top 5, whatever. But for Drake, he can continue to drop albums that are like 23 deluxe, whatever, and it's still
Mhm.
alright. Is it just because he has those hits and he can make a number 1 with ease?
I mean, Eminem hasn't dropped something that we considered an amazing project in a while, but Eminem's top
Mhm.
5 for everyone because he solidified himself. Drake has solidified himself, and I don't know, people say Andre 3000's a top 5 rapper, but which I wouldn't debate either, but he doesn't have any solo album besides if you consider, Speaker Box, Love Below, his
Mhm.
solo album. And I don't know, every artist messes up. Jay-Z, who I think is the GOAT, has bad albums. Kendrick, it's not a bad album, but it's not my favorite album.
They're not ready for that take yet. I don't
Cole
agree with Adam on that,
yeah,
but
Cole no, it's a good album, it's just not
Mhm.
great. That in no way is that a bad album, but Cole makes songs I don't like, and I say, "Come on, Ebe, why do you let him release that one?" But
Yeah.
he's solidified. He's that Drizzy Drake.